Just have to take a quick minute to thank our sponsors, Yellow Dog Paddle, Mackin's Rippin Lips Fishing Trips, NJFishing.com, and 8 Ball Sport Fishing. Also have to thank our supporters, Mike K's Guide Service, Psycho Jigs, Lip Glue, FC Fish Company, Nor'easter Hardcore Apparel, Hoggy Time Jigs, The Mimi Sick, and The Gambler. Eddie Mackin's Rippin Lips Fishing Trips continues to pound away at the hybrid striped bass on Lake Apacon. Now is the time to go after one for the fall bite. Call Eddie to book your next trip on Lake Apacon. Also still renting the pontoon boats and the red-eye trips. If you could only fish alone, Eddie will pair you with another angler that can only fish alone. Take both of you out at a reduced price. Call Eddie Mackin today for your next trip on Lake Apacon. Hello and welcome to episode number 116 of the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. I am your host, Joe Santiago. As always, my partner, Chris Pereira.
What's going on? I left my mug with drink in it for the 2 weeks we were off, and I didn't wash it, and I'm using it again.
Wow. What is it, water? Yeah, 2 weeks. We've been off the air 2 weeks. We haven't done an episode. Both been on vacation, different weeks, same place. I had an unbelievable trip. I consider it one of the trips of my lifetime so far with Scotty Sevens. I don't know if we're going to get into that right now or not, but other than that, I didn't do too much. I did some shore bass fishing with my kids, and I didn't do too much other fishing.
Oh man,
just Scotty Sevens.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about that trip after. It was that good, or just mostly because you've been wanting to try to catch sheepshead for so long?
I mean, it was amazing. The species itself was impressive. A lot of people messaged me and said, "Wow, those fish look unbelievable." And I've been looking at them for a while too. But when you see them in person, the picture still doesn't do it justice. And actually getting to fish with Scotty Sevens, I mean, just hanging with Scotty was so fun that, even if the fishing would have sucked, it still would have been cool to finally get to meet him. Sometimes you meet these people in person, they turn out to be an asshole. Scotty Sevens was just, totally awesome.
Well, who have you met that turned out to become an asshole?
Jerry Postorino. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know, but there's people they come off on the computer as okay, and then you meet them in real life and they're nah, whatever. But Scotty was awesome.
Jen Wong.
Jen Wong. Now that's an example. Jen Wong on the computer seems cool. If you meet him in real life, he is a horror. But yeah, really cool. The fight on him was unbelievable. The reason that I can't right away, I get the question, do they fight harder than Tog? Do they fight harder than Tog? I feel like it's an unfair rating because we did catch some Tog too, which ripped some. I had my brother-in-law, Jose, with me, who he doesn't fish that much. He's just starting to learn some stuff. But he was on vacation with me and wanted to go. And he got to catch a couple of nice Tog, too. And he said, man, those things fight, too. And I said, yeah, they do. The reason
he took my spot.
He took your spot, yeah. But the reason I can't rate them fairly is because I was fighting them on lighter spinning gear. I mean, I wasn't fighting them on my 50-pound Tog rig with my 8-ounce. So I can't totally say. But, I mean, fighting them on the gear that we had, the sheepshead rip. And you have to move your feet, too. If you keep your feet stationary on the boat, you're not landing the fish. You have to move. Really cool. Very different. You could kind of see how, there was kayakers and other boats in the area that were like trying to follow Scotty Sevens around.
Oh, God.
And like imitate what he did. And you could see it was, and I do have to say, and I don't want to open a can of worms either, because, we're always on the side of if it's legal, it's okay. But the sheepshead, I don't really think you should be killing those fish. I see a lot of guys online, oh, well, I only kill the small ones. I don't kill the big ones. Well, a big one only becomes a big one by being a small one first. So, you kill a small one, you eliminated a big one anyway.
Wow.
There's so few of them in the state that the state doesn't even recognize them enough to regulate yet. And they're trophy caliber. They're not normal sheepshead like from the rest of the states. I mean, they're trophy caliber fish.
I mean, when you're talking about this species in particular, I don't know enough about it. I don't know how many are here. Every time I talk to someone as if they're kind of on the rare side, I'm always told, "Oh no, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're up north. They're upset. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, whatever. But generally speaking, I have a different opinion because generally speaking, when you keep smaller fish, you're helping the fishery become or stay a big fish fishery. Like that's part of like any place that's managed as a trophy type caliber fishery, they take the small fish out. Obviously not all the small fish.
Yeah, but that's more freshwater, isn't it?
Well, what would be the difference?
I mean, the fish migrate in saltwater have more room to move.
I mean, okay, so
I guess you're right. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about it to make the comment. Maybe I am just being.
These fish could be different. I'm not saying it's wrong. Because this fish is like the top, near the top of their migration, like Scotty said, because it's near the top, near the northern end of their migration. It's kind of like we get more big ones, like down south, down in Florida or wherever. People don't even care about these fish. There's so many of them. They're all mostly stunted. I'm sure there's big ones too, obviously, but for the most part, you get a lot of small ones. They're almost like a trash fish to people down south. Up here, I don't know. Maybe the small ones are coming in too, and maybe because of the water temperatures and stuff, maybe it's going to turn into a kind of fishery of its own where it's part of their normal migration. I mean, obviously it's part of their normal migration, even though it's towards the northern end, because Scotty's been doing this for a while very successfully. So I don't know. When it comes to
I'll tell you also, the last thing I'll comment with that, by going fishing with Scotty Sevens, you must be cutting 30 years of footwork off, because if you took a fishing rod and some bait out, you ain't never figuring out that shit he does. You could tell it took him a long time to figure that out. And I think that's why he takes it so personally when he sees other people doing it, because it's such a niche thing. You know what I mean? And he did it. Like he figured that shit out himself, like all them hours catching nothing.
I forget the guy. He credits someone with helping him or teaching him or that he got the information from. I forget the guy's name. He mentioned it. But yeah, for the most part, he's put in the legwork on this. And like you said, like all these like little intricacies of fishing for these fish, at least here in New Jersey, seem super important. Like you can't just go out there and throw a piece of bait near a piece of structure and hope to have any kind of real success. I'm sure you'd get one eventually, but the success that he gets and the consistency, I mean, it's just not happening unless you know that. And unfortunately, I mean, he's taking people out. So like, for example, now I've gone with him. I know if I share that with someone, or if I want to do it on my own, I now have that information. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
Would you do it on your own though? Like, would you?
Yeah, I tried before I went with him with the information that he had given me. and I just caught a lot of blackfish, and I caught no sheepshead. But there was something.
That was like, did you catch a lot of blackfish when you went with Scotty?
Yeah, a decent amount.
Because
they're occupying the same area.
Yeah, but just that alone was awesome. Like the tog fishing, it was awesome. I'm like, we're in the back bay in August and we're catching like this many keeper blackfish. I'm like, this is so cool, and they're ripping on light spinning tackle. That was awesome in itself.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I mean, I rented a boat over between Wildwood and Stone Harbor over there. I rented a boat. It was last year or the year before, whenever it was. And yeah, we crushed blackfish. There's tons of blackfish there and a couple of keeper sized ones. And
yeah, they have a really good blackfish fishery down there. But you can tell right away. I mean, as soon as you hook the fish up, the blackfish straight down, and the sheepshead just takes off away from the structure.
But even the bite is different. You realize right from the bite what it is.
Yeah. Sevens can almost tell what it is by the way the rod tip. Like he knows well. He sees the rod tip, and that was a sheep, but he knows right away.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Really awesome. If you ever have the opportunity to fish with Scotty Sevens, do not pass it up. Thanks to my wife for buying me that and setting it up for my birthday.
Thank your wife for inviting me.
Thank Stella. Thanks for not inviting Chris. He got to go already though, so he can't be too spoiled. We're gonna go next year. Scotty Sevens watching us. We need a date. Now, Chris, our guest tonight is from Pennsylvania.
Right.
Rod maker, right? From, I think, Lehigh County.
He kind of corrected me. I'm going to let him introduce himself because he makes blanks as well, I believe. He owns Lehigh Fishing Company. His name's Scott Belisle. And we met him through, not in real life, but we reached out to each other through Jason Uhas. Was using some of his rods, I believe, and just loved them so much that,
Beaver Jason.
What?
Beaver Jason.
Yeah, the beaver guy. Yeah.
Well, when our guest is ready to come in, we will bring him in. I did get a report from Chris Lido from the Gambler. He reported horrible fluking back out on the water. Also, the night wreck fishing was also horrible. Jerry Pastorino posted a horrible report from the Fishmonger.
I think he actually just posted a picture of a desert with a tumbleweed floating through it.
Said found barely any short life and one random keeper. That comes after an unbelievable streak of limiting the boat out consecutively. But yeah, we did have a huge hurricane come in, had some huge waves kick up, terrible surf conditions, and Chris Lido said that the bottom's still pretty churned up bad, but he thinks the bite will be back on within a couple days or by next weekend. So
now, does he really think that, or is he just kind of being, optimistic?
I asked him straight up. I said, "Chris, do you think it's over? Did the storm blow the water temps out?" And he said, "No, the water temps look good."
Because I saw someone posted the water temps. They dropped 10 degrees.
Chris said it looked all right. He just said the bottom's really churned up, and by the time it settles back down, he thinks the bite will turn back on.
Well, I hope so, because we got one more Fluke trip in us.
We have one more Fluke trip on Fishmonger coming on Labor Day, Monday. So if you're watching this, it's in 2 days. 8 Ball, we're hoping to go sea bass fishing with them, hopefully. Is the guest ready to come yet?
He might be having trouble getting in. He might need our help.
As usual. Also, we do have hats back in stock. The hats are back in stock. We now have them. So if you want a hat, you can go on the website, njmultispecies.com, buy a hat. John Grabagrani bought a hat.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, it's true. It's true. There's going to be a picture of him with a hat on out there somewhere. It's going to exist.
Is there going to be a picture of him wearing the hat, holding a fish, doing whatever, or is there going to be like a video of him burning the hat in a barrel?
I don't know. Could go either way. Could never be too sure of that. Now, you went fishing while you're on vacation from shore.
Yeah, I did. We didn't really have. I mean, the hurricane kind of screwed up my vacation in some ways. I mean, I'm down there to go to the beach and stuff, and we lost a bunch of beach days and stuff like that. It obviously affected the fishing, which I don't know. I don't really do that well fishing down there for the most part. Anyway, at least for size. I usually just mess around, catch some croaker spot, little sea bass, little blackfish. Like I said, I rented the boat the one time, caught some nicer sea bass. We didn't rent the boat this time. The inlets and even the backwaters are kind of raging, but I did go out on a new pier over there, and we caught some spot, and I was like, I just channeled my inner Chuck Mandy, and I was like, I'll put that thing on a hook and let it free line, let it swim around these bridge pilings. And obviously I was hoping for a striper. I didn't really expect it, but I did something, started chasing it around. It hit it, bent around. I'm like, holy shit. All right, I got something of decent size, and it ended up being a striper. It was not a big one, but it was a nice striper. I just took a quick pick and released it. I didn't measure it or anything, but it was a nice, probably 26, 27-inch striper. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw the picture of it, and I never do well fishing down there. This year I didn't even bring the shit because I didn't want to pack it. The only thing I ever really do well for down there is sharks. But yeah, everything else usually sucks. Crabbing is good.
Yeah, we put some crab. The funny part is I was trying to get blackfish with a piece of crab on the jig near the pilings and stuff of the pier, and all that kept happening was big blue claw crabs just kept grabbing on, and I'd bring them up, and then I'd try to swing them up, and they'd let go, but I saw them. So we brought the traps back the next day thinking like, oh man, it's loaded with nice blue claws. Like, bring the traps, keep a half dozen to eat, and sat there with the traps all morning and only one keeper blue claw the whole time. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like, all kinds of stuff in there though. We got big green crabs. I posted all the pictures, I think.
I saw the green crab pictures.
Yeah, big green crabs that we used for bait, and then horseshoe crab was in the trap. We had stuff like that. The bait fish were coming up in the crab traps. That's what I was using, but only that one striper hit, and yeah. And I've been doing some fishing locally too. I said we got to do an episode on this. I don't know who's going to come on and talk about it, but the lake trout fishing in, I don't know, people will get mad if I say the name, but I don't even care anymore because the place has gone down the shitter for everything other than salmon since Merrill Creek's been putting them in. People are trying to tell me, oh, no, it's because of the fishing pressure. It's not the fishing pressure. I was literally just there Sunday. Beautiful day. Beautiful sun. It wasn't too hot. Wasn't cold, obviously. No rain. Beautiful day. Sunday. I was there all day. You know how many people I saw jigging lake trout? Throughout the whole day, maybe 4 or 5 people. 2 in the morning, 2 or 3 later in the afternoon. Most guys did it for like 30 minutes, didn't catch anything, left. And I got into an argument with some guys that I posted something the other day. The lake trout, the size over there has gone way downhill. Just, I don't know anyone who's gone there more than me over the past decade. And jigging lake trout there, never had a problem except the last couple of years. And the only thing it's coincided with is the stocking of the salmon. The salmon are getting huge. I'm not seeing the bait anymore. The lake trout aren't in the same spots that they used to be. Sometimes you get into a pile of them. The average size is way down. I don't know who come on and talk about this with us, but I'm pretty much just the salmon. And you've heard it before from a lot of guys, the salmon ruined bass fisheries. Now I'm seeing it firsthand. I mean, something's happening over there. I don't know. If anyone's listening to this that wants to come on and talk about it or that has more information about it, because I'm just kind of going by what I see, there day after day, all the times I go there over a decade, and I'm just going by that. But
do you think it's strictly a lake trout thing, or do you think there's differences in the other species in some of the other salmon lakes? Like, do you think there's a decline in bass fishing in Tilcon, or do you think this is specifically a lake trout thing?
No, I've literally heard. I mean, Gabagani won't come on the show, but he'll tell you. He'll comment right in the section because I know he's listening. He'll tell you because he, same as me, how I fished this place before the salmon were in there for a long time. He bass fished the other lakes that have salmon in them now, Tilcon, Aeroflex. I don't know about way on there for him, but he fished Tilcon, Aeroflex for bass before the salmon went in there, and he watched it change and decline in the same fashion.
Yeah, so that's a whole episode in itself then that we have to get. If you're watching this and fish Merrill Creek or do know about salmon, and what their impact is on a lake, email us at njmultispecies@gmail.com. That'll have to be an episode. I agree with you in the fact because we know that we all play Skillful Angler, the NJ Lake Trout Skillful Angler. I think it's 30 inches. Is it 30 or 31? I think it's 30. I haven't gotten one in I think 5 years, maybe 5 or 6 years, or maybe 4. I have not gotten a lake trout over 30 inches in a very long time.
Dude, I used to catch, I would say, when people come fishing me there, jigging lake trout, I used to tell them straight up, 27 to 29 inch lake trout is not uncommon. You have a really good chance of hooking 1 or 2 today. Yeah. I haven't seen a lake trout that size myself in 2 or 3 years, and I think I've only seen from that lake. I mean, not including Round Valley, and I think I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 from anyone else that even in the picture looked like it could have been that big.
And the jig, when you're jigging for lake trout, it has a habit of targeting those bigger fish. You usually will catch bigger sized fish jigging than you will trolling. You'll put more numbers up sometimes trolling, but jigging seems to put, unless it's just the fight, because the jig fight is just that much more intense than the trolling fight. But I feel like when I do go out specifically jigging for lake trout that I catch bigger fish than when I go out trolling.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I stopped trolling for them and started jigging for them. But I don't know. Every fishery is different. It depends on the forage base, obviously. And I just feel like
Craig Lemon, if you're watching this, there's no better person to get than Craig Lemon. Craig Lemon, you're the guy.
We tried. I don't know. They won't let him or something.
They won't let him. They won't let him on here. They
whatever. I can only do so much.
Gag order. They think we're going to ask him questions about brown trout stocking. We're not gonna.
I don't know. It's a discussion for another day if someone wants to come on and have it with us. But yeah, I feel like the salmon are our guest is ready, by the way. But the salmon seem to, they're so effective at that open water fishing, and they're so fast that the more salmon there are in these big open reservoirs, just the more effectively that they chase the bait around, break the bait apart, obviously eat the bait. And there's just less for the other species that aren't as effective open water predators. You get what I'm saying? That's what it seems like to me. So, but the guest is ready. So,
okay, the guest is ready. So we're going to bring the guest in. 8-Ball Sport Fishing out of Point Pleasant offers extreme flexibility at a very affordable price. It's now who me and Chris are using for most of our 6-pack charter fishing trips. Fall striper season is right around the corner. Captain Dom even offers after-work striper trips on mini rods. Tons of options. If you have less than 6 people, maybe 4 or 2. If he has 2 or 4, he may still go out anyway. So call 8-Ball today for your next 6-pack fishing trip. Okay, so everyone knows that the NJ Multispecies podcast, me and Chris, do support shopping local, buying locally as much as possible, supporting your local tackle outfitters, shops, and tackle makers. Tonight we have a local one on the show. Tonight's guest is Scott Belisle from the Lehigh Fishing Company. Scott, welcome to the NJ Multispecies podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a mutual friend, or I don't know if he's just your customer or a friend, but the beaver attack victim, Jason Uhas.
Quite a few of my customers have become friends, and Jay's a great guy. In fact, he was just up a couple days ago picking up another rod that I made for him. So he's really into what I'm doing here.
Were you able to outfit some kind of like beaver protection device on his rod or anything like that?
That's something I've never heard of. Is there a story attached to that?
Oh, you didn't know that story?
Wow. He was on the podcast because he's actually like only one human gets attacked by a beaver every 17 years, and it was him. He got attacked by one.
Well, now I got a conversation icebreaker next time I see him.
I can't believe he would hold that as a secret to anybody.
It's holding on me. I didn't tell me that one.
Oh, you got to get that story, but or just go back to that episode. Just go through our episodes and find the one with Jason Uhas, beaver attack victim. It's
Scott, I just want to ask because it's been bugging me. I know that you make tons of different rods, but what are all those bottles that are there behind your arm?
Oh, these right here.
Yeah, what is all that?
Those are all
tints. Rod making stuff?
No, these are actually tints. One of the last steps in the process of making the blank, because I actually make the blanks, is that I apply 2 coats of a tinted clear coat. Now, on my production rods, which you could buy offline, most of them, like the freshwater rods, I keep green. So that's a green tint right there. And the ones that are more suited for ocean offshore, I tint blue. But as you can see, I've got a few more colors than that now. So I got orange, I have gray, which I got this earlier this year, and it's become really popular, the gray tint. I have violet, I have shocking pink, scarlet red, and that looks like blood. Believe me, I actually got some on my hands. It looks like I sliced my hand wide open. But so I got red, and then for the hybrid rods now. My spinning, casting, and conventional rods, I use a hybrid construction where I use actually carbon and fiberglass. And what happens when you bake fiberglass, it actually turns like an orangish yellow. And a customer of mine, he wanted one that looked all carbon. He wanted it black. So I actually got some black tint, and it's jet black. So I have 10 different colors here.
Now, so before we get into it, you had mentioned that there's some confusion as far as making the rods versus making the blanks, and so the first thing I just want you to tell everyone exactly what you do, because we've talked to guys who make rods, like a fair amount of guys get into the hobby of making rods, but I've never talked to anyone who actually makes the blanks. I thought that everyone was ordering their blanks from some kind of production company, like they're made in a factory.
Everyone other than me, that's what they do. And not to take anything away from those custom builders, because some of those guys do a really awesome job. I mean, there are some really good custom builders out there. But I wanted to take it a step forward or step further and make my own blanks. It took me 2.5 years to perfect the process. This isn't something I just woke up one morning and decided to do. I did a lot. I was an out of work engineer at the time, and so I did a lot of research on the internet, made a lot of phone calls, and it got me started in the right direction. But it was ultimately up to me to make it stick. So, like for example, right here on the bench, okay, every rod starts with what's called a mandrel. It's a tapered piece of stainless steel. It's essentially a male mold. And then over top of this, you apply your material. In this case, this is carbon fiber. This is what we call a flag of carbon fiber. Now this gets wetted out with a resin, and the resin is something that I have developed as well. And it gets rolled onto here, and then there's another layer that goes over top of it. I don't want to get into that because that kind of gives up everything that I'm doing here.
It does. You don't have to give any secret.
I won't give you specifics, but there is actually another layer of carbon that goes over top of that. And then it goes in the oven. I have a curing oven right over here. It's almost it's 9.5 feet tall, so I can get some longer rods in there. Bake it for 2 hours, and then once it's done, I extract that mandrel, and then I take it over on the lathe, and it gets sanded. And I have target diameters every few inches from butt to tip on the rod, and they get sanded to within plus or minus 0.003 of an inch. Now, your average machinist would probably say, "Oh, that's a lot," but for making fishing rods, 0.003 of an inch is essentially half the thickness of a piece of paper. So I'm sanding them to that tolerance. And then once they're sanded, they get, like I said, they get to 2 coats of tinted clear, and they get baked on. And then after the first one, it gets lightly sanded, finished coat goes on, and then they're ready to be built.
That's really, I've literally, I mean, I haven't looked into it, but I've never heard that process. And you'd think someone that fishes as much as we do, like we'd know that process. I had no idea how a blank was made.
I actually did a TV show years ago, and the video is on the homepage of my website, lehighfishing.com, and where I actually built a rod from start to finish. Now, granted, it was an ice rod. I have 2 ice rods that are both 2 feet 2 inches long, and but it's the same process, whether it be a 2 foot 2 inch ice rod or an 11-foot surf rod. They're all done in the same process.
I'm always saying, like, well, that's not a custom rod. I mean, people say, "Oh, that's a custom rod. I have a custom rod." You and 10,000 other people have the exact same custom rod, but now this sounds like it's actually a custom rod. This is an actual custom.
Well, like I said, often people, will say that I'm a custom builder. Now, I do offer custom builds, and I'll get into that later. But I'm more of a rod manufacturer where I actually make my own rod blanks.
So you make blanks to sell to other rod makers, basically?
No. I keep them all to myself.
So you just make them to just have them? That. So Jason Uhas is like, he's the only one with the secret ones?
No, he makes the rods.
No, all my customers. And now, speaking about Jay, the rod that he picked up the other day, it was a one of a kind. He wanted something for going offshore jigging for Fluke, or maybe 3-5 miles out, something for jigging for Fluke. So I was able to make a blank using one of my mandrels. Actually, it was the mandrel for one of my surf rods. And I tailor-made him a rod for jigging for Fluke.
Now, so I don't know how much, like, did he tell you exactly what he wanted, or did he basically just say, "I want this for jigging for Fluke, I'm going to be using whatever amount of weight most of the time, weight range," and you can kind of from that information go, or does he have to tell you exactly what kind of?
No. I just need to know what application he's using it for, and I take it from there. I've had, for example, a few years ago, I had a guy out in Kansas wanted a 9.6. Well, actually wanted a 10-foot crappie jigging rod. And at that time, the longest one I had was 9.6. It was one of my fly rod mandrels. And I explained to him what I can do and whatnot. And so I made him a 9-foot 6-inch crappie jigging rod. I actually took my fly blanks, the design I had for my fly rods, and detuned it so it was a little softer for fishing for crappie. And he absolutely loved it.
So you do fly rods too? How much does this cost? Because it sounds crazy expensive.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. Some people, the guys that shop at Walmart and Kmart are going to get sticker shock. But the hardcore avid fishermen, they look at the price of my rods and they're like, "You're not asking enough." And really? What I explain to them is that I'm just basically getting my feet wet. Granted, I've been doing this for 14 years, but not that many people know me. They know all those big name manufacturers, but they don't know me. In fact, I had, and I'm not going to name a name, guy I was talking to said he spent $1,000 on a fly rod. And I'm like, I could have made you one better than that for $550. He's like, wow. I'm like, yeah. And another thing about my rods is that I warrant them unconditionally for 20 years. So if anything at all, and believe me when I tell you, most of the rods that come back are due to just negligence, stupidity, whatever. Car doors, car windows, truck tailgates, laid on the ground, step on it. I cover it.
Really?
So what are we talking ballpark here for a rod? 200-300?
Okay.
What kind of rod?
Actually, Jay has one of these rods right here. This is actually one of my best sellers right here. This is actually an all-fiberglass blank. This is the Chuck Booker signature rod. It's a 5.6 all-fiberglass rod. And you could fish a multitude of species with this one rod. It's an absolute blast with the fiberglass blank. You know, you get something on there with a little bit of size, it feels like you got a tank on there. I mean, I had a pickerel take me for a Nantucket sleigh ride while using this. It was a 24-inch pickerel. It was pulling me around in my kayak.
And this is the rod that kind of like blew his mind, that made him come back, right? This is the first one that he got.
This is the one. This is the first one he bought, was this one. Now, like I said, I also do customs, and this guy right here, by the way, is for sale. This is that rod, and I have it in a gray tinted blank. And then I went a little funky with the guides there, give it a little monochrome theme there. This rod is actually for sale. But
it's hard to see in this, but I would people should go to your website to check out, where I'm sure you have nice pictures of
how much is it?
Yeah. I have a lot of pictures there.
So how much is that rod?
Freshwater, like kind of
the production margin of this rod. Now, keep in mind, you don't just get the rod. Now, like I said, the rod's named the Chuck Booker signature rod. Chuck Booker has 58 line class world records catch and release with salmon and steelhead. Chuck's the real deal. He called me years ago. We've become friends over the years. And what I did was I actually designed this rod around his spinners. Now, these, you know, they might look like your average everyday inline spinner, but I'll tell you what, like I was a customer of his before I became a friend. These undoubtedly are the best inline spinners I've ever used in my life. And the gauge of wire that he uses, that you could bend it and it goes back to being straight. The blade is a thicker gauge blade. So when you throw it, you start retrieving, you could feel the resistance of the spinner right away. And then he uses tungsten, or actually brass bodies. And the trebles are Eagle Claw, American-made Eagle Claw treble hooks. So they hook and hold, just like they used to say. So I actually designed this rod around that spinner. So when you buy this rod, you get 6 of Chuck's spinners. And that is $309 for that.
What did you say?
Okay. $309.
$309.
That's it?
Plus shipping.
Yeah.
And it's backed by a 20-year unconditional warranty.
Yeah, so that's fairly comparable with like your better end fishing rods that you're going to buy.
I got to be honest, when you were kind of dancing around telling us the price and telling us all the other stuff, I'm like this thing's going to be $800.
I was waiting for like 800. Yeah.
I wish I could get 800 for it.
Dude, so I won a rod once in this contest. I won a rod. It was like I think it was a Mackin rod. It was like when they separated from Star or whatever it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? It was supposed to be this really great rod, right? And I won it. I didn't buy it. I won it, but I looked it up and it was like a $200-something rod. It's like a drop shotting rod, and it's a good rod. But I was like, for $200, I would be a little bit disappointed if I paid $200 for this. Right? So, like, when you're talking,
you got to be aware. And I'm not going to rat anybody out, but there's a number of American companies out there that claim to, that their rods are American made. They're buying all their blanks and their components offshore, and they're simply assembling them here. Now, with my rods, I make my own blanks, so obviously that's American made. Now, all cork, well, over 80% of the world's cork comes from Portugal, so you can't get around that. I get all my
Portuguese, so that's all right.
Oh, there you go. You can go back home and get some cork for me.
I'll send my parents. This process. I'm kind of intrigued by this because, like I said, I'd never heard of anyone making their own blanks.
Yeah, I want that rod right now.
It's pretty cool.
I do want. It's 5'6".
5'6".
That's longer. That's taller than you, Joe.
Is it an ultralight? What's the action?
Now, I will say this.
It is taller than me.
It is. It's almost taller than me. It's only a little bit shorter.
Now, the same mandrel that I make this all glass rod out of, I make my best-selling rod out of. This is 6'6". It's a hybrid. My best-selling rod. It's a bass rod. It's a medium power, fast action. This is a fast rod. And I actually have a guy on my pro staff that fishes the FLW tour. This is the rod that he uses a lot of times. But I use the same mandrel to make this that I make this. It's just a foot shorter. And I've actually made an all 6'6" all fiberglass rod. I've done that for a few customers. So like I said, I can actually make custom blanks too.
It's crazy. Now, what's the longest fly rod that you make?
Oh, you want to be blown away? Hold on a second.
Oh, God.
Wait, I thought you said...
I'm going to go right for the Cadillac. Okay. I don't know if you can see that clearly. That's an all composite real seat spacer and grip that I make by hand right here, matching the blank. I don't know if you see the color. It's a deep violet color.
It's hard to see the color.
Yeah, it's hard to see the color. It's like a purple, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
Now, this rod cost a few more bucks, but I've sold a few. Guys absolutely love it. It weighs 3 ounces.
Wow.
There might be, and I always tell people, manufacturers could take weight reduction to the point where it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, there's rods this length, 8'6", that are lighter than this. It's like, why? Because what you're doing is you're sacrificing durability for performance. So I don't skimp on durability. Your rod's still got to stand up. And there are certain manufacturers that they're making under 3 ounce fly rods, but they're blowing up because they're so brittle.
That's a huge problem, and in reels too, right? You see them drilling all these holes in the metal to make it lighter. Next thing you know, you're trying to winch in on a bigger fish, and the handle snaps off.
And it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
All to save an ounce.
Go in the gym, work out a little bit. If it's that heavy, that's what I always tell people. Get a gym membership.
Who the hell can tell the difference between holding something that's 5 ounces and holding something that's 4 ounces? Like, they're lying to you if they can tell the difference. You just can't.
Exactly. 100%. Absolutely.
Can I ask, because I see a lot of the fly rod companies, they advertise heavy on the fiberglass. I have tons of rods. I don't think I own one though. Is there a huge difference in the fiberglass rod versus the carbon?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I've been working on an all glass fly rod because there actually is a resurgence in that. Right now, I'm just looking for the right type of configuration of fiberglass, and I've called all over. I can't find it. But these rods, actually have 2 different types of carbon in these rods. There's a unidirectional carbon and there's a biaxial carbon over top of it. And that combination of the materials, it gives these rods life. Now, I've had my right shoulder rebuilt 3 times. Last time was just last June. So I can't use a rod that I'm doing all the work. And that's why I got these. I can go out and fish all day. My shoulder doesn't bother me. The only thing that bothers me is my lower back because I'm constantly leaning forward. But my shoulder never
the rod that you said Jason has, that one is all fiberglass, right?
He has the Chuck Booker rod. Yes, that's all glass. He also has the dam. And then he also has a one-off custom, that 7-foot jigging rod that I just built him. So he actually has 3 rods of mine.
So I guess my question would be, if you built two of the exact identical rods next to each other, one was carbon, one was fiberglass, which one would have the advantage?
It all depends on the application. It really does. Now, people often associate carbon with performance because it's such a stiffer material. You can use less material to get that desired rigidity. That's what makes carbon products so light, because you can end up using less material. Now, with fiberglass, it's much softer, so you have to use more material to get that same rigidity. So that's where you get a difference in weight between glass rods and carbon rods.
Now, what about sensitivity-wise when it comes to feeling stuff in those two versus each other?
People often misdefine sensitivity. Sensitivity of a rod is the rod's ability to transfer energy. So if you're out there and you're holding your rod out there and all of a sudden you feel a strike, you're actually going to feel it better with the carbon rod because it's a stiffer material. It's going to transfer that energy right through the rod to your hand. So in that aspect, yes, the carbon is better at transferring energy. But you get the durability with fiberglass. Fiberglass is a much more durable material than carbon is. And that's why, like, every rod of mine, the what I call hybrid construction, I actually have glass and carbon in those rods. Like this rod right here has a carbon fiber base with a fiberglass outer layer. So you're getting a little bit of the best of both. Same with this guy here, this 7 foot heavy. Same thing. Fiberglass over carbon. Yep.
Here's a question. And people can apply this to their own things. Like, and if they're curious about it, they can email you or contact you or your company and ask. So I'm fishing, right? I like to jig for lake trout, and it's not a traditional type of jigging. I don't know if you've ever done it, but you're not sitting there jigging and then getting a strike. So you don't want a faster rod. You almost want like a slow rod. You want something similar, like if you're bass fishing and you're burning a spinner bait, you want something that's not going to rip the lure out of the fish's mouth when they strike it if you're reeling it at full speed. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of just using a rod that I have right now. I have a pretty good one on a bait caster, but on the spinning side, I'm just kind of using something that I use for other things. And I lost.
How much are you jigging?
Huh?
How much weight are you jigging?
So, and again, I'm not really jigging it. I'm kind of burning it, vertically through the water column. I'm just calling it jigging because you're fishing right out vertically. It's like vertically fishing. What do you got on the line?
1 ounce.
With the spinning, a quarter to a half, I'd say.
I would strongly suggest, and like I said, I've done this for a few guys, a 6.6 all fiberglass rod.
And now here's my issue. Just to finish the question, here's the issue that I lost 2 big fish recently, and I can't figure, when I lose a fish, I have to know why. Like, I have to fix it, and I can't for the life of me think of anything that I did wrong in these particular situations, and I just keep thinking to myself that there's got to be a better type of rod, something like maybe something a little bit longer, a little bit slower, or something that would have helped keep that fish hooked. Whereas, like, when I'm using the bait caster doing it, it's easier to keep that fish's head up. With the spinning rod with a little bit lighter gear, they'll get their head down on you, get their tail in the line, smack the line. They kind of take control of the fight for a little bit, and I'm guessing obviously loosened the hook or made the hole too big. And the next thing I know, they shake their head and spit the hook twice. 2 big fish, and it's just really got me bent out of shape. And I'm just wondering what you think about that, as far as from a rod perspective.
Getting Jay into that all glass rod was not an easy sell, but once he got it, and he likes to target trout with it and whatnot. He's caught other fish with it, but he doesn't lose anything. because of that all fiberglass construction. He was blown away by that. He's like, I'm not, I'm able to get the hook set on them and keep them hooked up. Whereas with the carbon ones, he's telling me he's fishing carbon and he was losing fish.
I'm just staring at it.
I think you're definitely going to sell something to Joe. He can't stop looking.
I'm staring at it because my 5 foot I just broke my 5 footer and they don't even make it anymore. Like they only make a 6 footer.
Who'd you buy it from? Did they warranty it for 20 years?
That's always my question.
Yeah, there you go.
Shimano used to have a lifetime warranty on their higher end rods. They got rid of it. And I love Shimano
rods. A lot
rods,
of manufacturers have gotten away from, and the only ones that you'll find that still do have it are the ones that are buying the rods offshore because they're buying them for pennies on the dollar.
But like,
I'm not gonna.
How does an independent guy like this making your own blanks? How do you have a better warranty than all these big companies? That's the crazy part.
I don't know. I stand behind my products. The way I look at it is people are spending their hard-earned money on one of my rods, and I want them to be happy. And if something should ever happen, no matter what it is, and like I said, most of the time it's due to their own fault. No fault of the rod itself, but I cover it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you stand behind your product. That's awesome. And obviously everyone loves to hear that. But I close it in a car door, you're still going to give me a new one? Like, that's the awesome. That's crazy. It's awesome.
Well, you don't tell them that. I've never told the truth ever.
Well, here's a good story. I have a customer of mine. He's a retired dentist, and I made matching father-daughter Chuck Booker rods, the all fiberglass rod. And maybe about a year or so later, he calls me and tells me how his daughter had the tip of the rod pointing out the car window, and she put the window up and it cracked the tip off. I said, my warranty, get it back to me. And he lives kind of close, so he actually drove out here to the shop, and he's like, I got to give you something. I'm like, no, it's my warranty. And he knows I like my Irish whiskey, so when he came to pick up the rod, he brought me a bottle of Jameson Black Barrel. So I actually told him to go break the rest of his rods if he's going to bring me Jameson.
I mean, that's how do you beat that? I have nothing else to say.
Most of the companies, even the ones that do have really good warranties, like St. Croix's, if you buy the American Avid, is I think it's 20 or 25 years. But
it
is. But when you go to replace the rod, they charge you $60. They make it sound like, we'll just keep replacing it for free forever. I mean, every time you replace it, it's $60 over and over again.
Now, I do charge $60, and that's for return shipping, because shipping charges have gone absolutely berserk over the last few years. And
I was going to ask this. I heard. I don't know if
but for most people watching this, they're in driving distance if they want to just bring it over. I mean,
exactly, and that's what I tell people. If you want to take the ride to the shop, by all means, bring it up and save yourself the $60.
Yeah.
So with the shipping, when you buy a 2-piece rod, obviously it doesn't cost less, right? But
actually,
when
it does cost less because it's not as long.
Cost less.
Yeah, the most expensive rods that I ship out of here is the 6.6 1-piece rod and my 11-foot surf and my 10 and 11-foot surf rods, because the longest sections are 7 feet. Like my 10-footer is a 30-70 split, and my 11-footer is a 36-64 split. And the shipping tubes themselves are expensive. I actually send mine in PVC pipe because it's a lot more durable than those cardboard tubes that a lot of manufacturers use. I actually send them in PVC pipe.
You mail PVC pipe out?
I mail rods in PVC pipe. Yes, I do.
Now that I've never heard of. That's pretty hilarious.
I mean, you ain't breaking that.
You're not going to. That's actually I just thought of an ingenious way to build a rod protector for the bed of my truck with PVC pipe.
You just thought of that now? I've seen that on the internet.
No, I never.
You're going to want to put rod stock on it, because if you just put it in the PVC, it's going to wear away at at the finish of the thing. So I would at least put a rod sock over it or wrap it up in something and then stick it in your tube. A lot of the guys have told me, my customers, that they'll actually keep those shipping tubes as storage tubes.
Oh, yeah.
For when driving here and there. Yeah, they'll just keep those tubes. Yep.
Well, I guess where my question was leading with that was, I know the rod it's cheaper if you get 2-piece versus the 1-piece. With the fly rods, that's opposite. When you go from a 2-piece to a 4-piece, 4-piece seems to go up in price. Why is that? Why do fly rods get more expensive?
Okay, well, take my most popular fly rod. It's a 4-piece 5-weight. Shipping on that is $45. Okay, and the 2-piece, it's the same price, $45. So it shouldn't be more.
But what about in actually building the rod? When you actually build the rod, like when you actually build it.
Meant shipping. I will tell you, you're working with 4 pieces instead of 2. That's why they're more expensive. I actually charge a few more dollars for my 4-piece rod. Now I only have one. Actually, I'm getting ready to re-release another 2-piece fly rod. You're working with 4. So I have 4 mandrels that I got to prep, lay up, get in the oven. 4 pieces that I got to sand. 4 pieces that I got to build. So it's a little bit more time consuming than having 2 pieces to build.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a little bit more. And I don't. Well, here, let me see. That 4-piece rod, I said, it's actually $579, and the 2-piece is $509. So you got a $70 difference in it because I got a lot more to work with. I have 4 pieces to work with versus 2 pieces to work with.
Now, do you think when you are going to buy the exact same rod in a 4-piece versus a 2-piece that you're losing sensitivity in the rod over those pieces?
I'm actually going back and forth with a guy right now, and he doesn't know if he wants to go 4-piece or 2-piece. And I just very simply put it this way. It's like, look, if you're going to get on an airplane with the rod, get the 4-piece. If you're not, get the 2-piece. Because when I design these rods, you could take the 4 and the 2-piece, and they feel exactly the same. And that's the way they should be.
Gotcha. Well, I guess, I have no questions left. Chris, you got any more?
I mean, honestly, I could probably talk to you all day and annoy the hell out of you.
And spend a lot of money.
It won't bother me a bit.
We try to keep the shows to a time frame that people actually will watch. But no, I mean, you're welcome back on the show anytime. Obviously, if you ever come up with some new product or want to plug something new, or
there he has something right now.
I want to plug something new. Now, I get down to usually South Jersey, Avalon, a couple times a year. I belong to the Avalon Fishing Club. We have the only pier in Avalon.
Okay.
I've been a member there since 1986. So I've been a member there 39 years now. And I've been fishing that pier since the early 70s. And so a couple of years ago, I came out with a surf rod, actually 2, a medium and a heavy action. And just recently, I'm going to grab it right now. I came out with this guy right here. This rod, I name all my rods. All my rods have a name. I named this rod the Surf Slinger because I did everything that I could to lighten this rod up. It's a 10-foot rod, 30-70 split. And, for guys, sometimes I like to just walk down the beach and just start throwing metal out into the breakers or throw poppers out or whatever. And this rod is very light, and, you won't get tired out heaving it out there all day long. So you can see, the grips are actually heat shrink tube right to the blank.
Yeah, the handle looks cool.
I did everything I could. I use a Fuji graphite reel seat. Just doing what I could to lighten things up on this rod, and it's a feather, and it's a lot of fun for just like I say, even if you're working off a jetty or off a beach or whatnot, throwing lures repetitively. This is the rod for you right here. Now, I designed this particular rod for 1 to 4 ounce. So it's for throwing heavier stuff. Now I do have a rod. It's a 711 for like lighter stuff. Like a lot of guys use it. Was it the S minnows they're throwing?
Yeah.
SP.
Yeah. My 711 that I rate that rod 3/4 ounce to 1.5 ounces. And so that rod is good for throwing those. But this guy right here is for throwing heavier stuff. And all my rods, stainless steel guides with wear resistant rings. These rings will not pop out. They're actually pressed in and glued into the frame, so they don't come out. Period.
And
go ahead.
What does that rod go for?
This rod in my hand?
Yeah.
This rod, $579 for this rod.
And so like I don't do a ton of surf fishing, right? So I probably wouldn't put my money into that, right? But if I did, I would, because when you go down, like I have a surf rod, but when I went to go buy a surf rod, I just wanted something, when I was at the tackle shop, I was just like, look, I don't do a lot of surf fishing. I just want something that's going to work, that's not going to break. I don't need something super light. I just want something that's not going to break. And they always point you to, I feel like they always point you towards the tsunami ones, right? So I got a tsunami rod. I paid less than that, obviously, but, I paid not $200, but somewhere it was over $150.
Okay.
So I spent a decent amount of money, something that I would think I'd have a decent rod. That the tip popped off, the insert on the first guide came off. I had to glue it back in. I mean, I still have the rod, like it works, like it's like a Frankenstein rod at this point. But it's just like the difference between my point is, if you're a surf guy, if you're doing this a lot like that for $500 something, I mean, I just don't see how you beat it. I mean, like,
you can't
with the 20-year warranty tagged onto it. I mean,
yeah. In 20 years, you'll break like at least 18 Walmart rods anyway, and the eyes will just fall out. I've had rods sitting in the fishing rack where I've come out to get them, and the eyes are just on the ground. But
I'm not talking about Walmart rods. I don't buy Walmart rods. I go into like the tackle shop or whatever, like, and you talk to the guys and you tell them, I don't want the top of the line stuff. I want, something in the middle of the road. Like, I don't want a piece of crap. Like, I trust them to point you in the right direction. And I think for the most part they do. But like in this scenario, and I'm not knocking Tsunami. Like, I have some Tsunami stuff that I like, and I have some stuff that I don't like. And that's the same for a lot of companies. But this particular rod is my example of like,
well, yeah, given that price point, right away where it was made.
Well, yeah. Well, know that. I mean, that beforehand. Anyway.
You're just buying mass-produced garbage at that point. No offense, but that's what you're buying. It's just mass-produced garbage.
In my defense, I mean, I can't afford to have a good rod for. I fish for everything. I can't. I have to pick. I have to pick and choose like. What I have the top of the line stuff in, and what I just have something that'll work in my defense. But I mean, it's crazy, and I just want to. We'll lead you off with one last question. It's a real general question, but I'm assuming you started building rod blanks like from scratch for a reason. Like what specifically did you think that you could do better than Shimano rods or St. Croix or whatever? Like what specifically made you want to do this?
Well, the big thing was that as it's still true to this day, most of the rods that you see at outfitters or anything, where they're made. And I'm just trying to bring kind of that pride in American products thing back, I'm a disabled veteran. I served 15 years, and I try to keep everything American made as possible. Now, I will admit, that guide, for example, it's made in China. I can't get around it. I tried for so long when I first started with this to try to find all American components. And finally, it was the owner of the American Tackle Company at the time. Now, this is going back 15 plus years. He said, Scott, you're not going to find those components made in America anymore. And he told me, he's like, my components, I design everything. I send the designs over to our manufacturer in China, and they make them to our specs. Even though these are Chinese made, they're actually very well made. Like I said, those rings, I never had a rod come back, with the ring popped out of it or anything like that. And like I said, the frames are stainless steel. They're, even this rod right here, this little 5.6 components are all stainless steel. I just use nothing but good components on my rods. So you're getting an American-made rod, with good components at a very competitive price.
Scott, just for anyone watching that's interested in looking at all this stuff, can you just move to the side so they could see the website?
Yes, LehighFishing.com.
I'm guessing you have an Instagram hashtag or Facebook?
I'm on Facebook, and I am also on Instagram. Now, I don't use the hashtags anymore, but it's hashtag LFC Rods. If you want to try that, just look up my pages on Facebook and Instagram, the Lehigh Fishing Company. I will extend this to your viewers for the next week after this airs. If anybody wants a rod, I'll giving them away at 10% off.
Awesome.
If it catches, you got to call me. And you got to tell me you heard about it on the show.
There you go.
All right, so 10% off. So this comes out on a Friday. So for a week, you said, right?
So September 5th through September 5th, all your viewers call me up, say, hey, Scott, I saw you on the podcast. All right, you got 10% off. What do you want?
There you go.
Are we allowed to use that too? Because, technically we're watching.
By all means.
Oh, God.
And to all your viewers, once again, this guy's looking for a new home.
What is is that an ultralight?
I call it a medium light.
Medium light.
It's not quite ultralight. It's not medium. It's kind of in the middle.
Does it have a lure weight rating, like as far as casting, a lure? Like
5.6s.
1/8 to 3/8.
Okay.
Perfect. There you go.
It's fiberglass, so it's going to be rated lower. But like I said, your boy Jay there, he absolutely loves his Chuck Booker rod. And like I said, that's actually my second best selling rod is that rod. People, they buy it and not thinking, and then they go out and use it and they're like, holy crap, this thing is great.
Dude,
and I'll tell you what, ever since I started making this rod, I really don't sell too many 5-foot ultralights because I actually do have a 5-foot ultralight, but this rod is a lot more versatile. Yeah. You can use this rod as an ultralight. You can use, it's got so many applications, and it's just a blast to fish with. And, you throw one of Chuck's spinners on there, you just murder them.
Well, there you go. If you head to the website, you can save 10% for the next week.
Well, you got to call.
You have to call Chuck. Tell him you saw it on the podcast.
Not Chuck. What is wrong with you?
Oh, Chuck. Yeah, Scott.
Chuck's the guy. Chuck's his friend who makes the spinners. This is Scott.
I make the rod.
If you buy the rod, you get 6 of Chuck's spinners with the rod.
That's correct.
Okay. Scott, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here, the NJ Multi-Species Podcast, and talk with us. Really cool stuff, and I learned a lot of stuff I actually did not know. And thank you.
You have an actual shop in Whitehaven that like people can come to and look at the rods, or is that just kind?
No, they can come right to the shop if they want to, but I don't have a brick and mortar.
Okay, that was my question.
If you want to come to the shop, I just tell people bring money.
I'm
here.
They better, because I don't think you're walking out of there with nothing for sure.
I'm kidding.
But if someone wants to come by your shop there to feel the difference in rods or something like that, that's they can do that. Yeah,
that's what Jay did. Yeah, that's how I sold Jay Chuck Booker rod, because I gave him the ultralight. I gave him this one. I said, trust me, you're going to like this rod. And he absolutely loved it. Like I said, not longer after that, he bought a 6.6. I named that one the Dam for the Francis Walter Dam. So I got a Dam rod. And then I just made that one-off custom for him for Fluke.
Well, I mean, if you want to sell one more rod to Jason, I promise you, if you put like a beaver spear that pops out of the butt of that rod and maybe like a skinning thing to like get the skin off to make a hat or something, I guarantee you he buys one more.
Oh, I can't wait to see him again. I'm gonna ask him about that for sure.
I can't believe he kept that a secret from me.
He did hide it from him. Scott, thank you so much for taking time to come on here.
Oh, anytime, guys. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Take care.
Yellow Dog Paddle, yellowdogpaddle.com, offering tons of new stuff now. Chance to fish the Delaware River this fall. If you want to jig the Delaware River with Yellow Dog Paddle, those trips are now bookable. They do fill up quick, and Mike does not have that much availability on that river already. Also, Round Valley trips. The Round Valley fishing continues to pick up pace as the temperature cools down. The fall bite will usually be much better than the summer bite. So also, if you're looking to book that next trolling trip on Round Valley, Yellow Dog Paddle. And of course, as always, if you just want the lessons and learn how to set your boat up to troll the way that Yellow Dog Paddle does, also available. Tons of stuff available from YDP. Head on over and check out Yellow Dog Paddle. Yeah, so there you go. You have 10% off for the next week on all Scott's rods. Really nice stuff. I'm going to get killed probably by my wife eventually if I just keep buying all this shit. It's unbelievable. It's like an addiction. It's really bad.
Can she get you a birthday present for next year already? Or
it might be early. I could work on a Christmas gift, though.
There you go.
But yeah, that's really interesting. Of all the guys that we've gone through that make custom rods and stuff, that's the first one that I believe that makes the blank himself. And he's got me more intrigued with the fly rod because I could get a custom fly rod, which I don't have. So yeah, really cool. And like I said, you get 10% off. Call them up and mention the podcast. Other than that, really long episode. If you watch this episode all the way to the end, I'm going to reveal the date of the Christmas party. So you could save the date because the Christmas party's been booked for December 6th, Saturday, December 6th, in the same place it was last year. It's 100 tickets again. We know what happened last year. The party was sold out in about a half an hour. So if you want to get tickets to the party, when we're going to say they're going to be on sale, they're going to go on sale. You're going to have to buy them right away. It's just unfortunately the way it's going to have to be. You're going to have to buy the tickets immediately. But if you do plan on coming to our Christmas party again, December 6th is the date revealed at the end of this episode, which was extra long. We will be back again next week. Chris, do you know who the guest is next week? We are on the Fishmonger Monday. I did just release a new Fishmonger video from the last trip. Just went out on YouTube about an hour ago. So check that out if you want. It's a boat limit in 3 hours. Pretty cool video. Who is it, Chris?
Well, next week is the week that we have slated to attempt the first live episode.
Okay, so next week could be the first live episode. Is there a guest for that?
We do not have a guest because we weren't sure what we wanted to do. I don't know how you don't remember this conversation, but
we don't know if it's going to work or not. We'll get Chuck. We'll have Chuck Manny as the first guest.
I kind of asked Chuck, and usually he would answer me, and he kind of didn't, purposely, I think. So I'm not 100% sure he wants to submit himself to that. But,
all right, so the first live one might just be me and Chris, and you guys could come on here and badger us while.
Well, what about? I mean, if Chuck really doesn't want to do it, we could have Katie host it again, and have us. Yeah. People can just.
People did like that episode that Katie hosted and just asked us people's questions. She wants to do that again. We could do that again.
I mean, I don't know if "wants to do it" is the right phrasing, but I guess she would probably do it.
Or whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll be back next week. That's it for tonight. See everyone next week.
All right. Suffer for the fish. And by the way, there was like little chunks of things at the bottom on my last sip. So.
Okay, great.